Okay, so I am here from Maine. Woo! Yeah, Maine! Sweater. People from Maine wear sweaters. It's true. This is a story about tiny holiday spirits. My stepdad makes a lot of soup, and his soups usually are the same soup every year. Around the holidays, he makes like a tomato base with some onions and some noodles and like rice. He just throws everything in the soup, and it like kind of tastes the same every time. But then he will put in like some other weird ingredient every time, like tofu or tempeh, or like little wontons that are actually just bread mashed up and put in the soup. It tastes fun. So this one time, my stepsisters and I, we were all sitting around the table eating this soup, and all of a sudden I come across something that is a little bit difficult to chew, and I'm like chewing through this, and it just doesn't quite feel right, and I like pull it out through my my teeth, and before I even look at it, my stepsister is like over to the sink, spitting out everything in her mouth, washing out with water, and like gagging really dramatically, like it was the worst thing that ever happened, and it was pretty bad. And what I had pulled out was the leg of a centipede. So I was wondering, she's over there gagging, and I'm sitting there like, how did this get into the soup? And where are the rest of the centa-hundred legs? And how did I not notice that? So for the longest time, we would not touch my stepdad's soup with a 10-foot pole. And to this day, my stepsister still will not touch that soup. So a couple years later, my stepdad's sister, for the holidays, she always gives us a lot of food. And one year she gave us a whole bunch of hot chocolate packets. And I love hot chocolate. And so I was noticing that this hot chocolate was expired, and I live in Maine now, and I've become pretty hardcore because that's what Mainers are. But so it's expired. Who cares, right? So I drank this hot chocolate every day for months before school. And it had like some lumps in it, but I didn't really care. It was like the powder had just coalesced into this little like, and I actually made a little routine of like pouring in the hot water, and then I would sit and drink it, and I would like munch on the little lumps. Right? You know where this is going? Okay. So one day there were like 3 of these packets, each with like 20 packets in them. And one day I'm like down to the last packet, and for some reason I had never looked into the hot chocolate. This day I look, and I see that the powder had not coalesced on its own. It had been purposely done so by these tiny little like those moths that fly around in your kitchen, like the little cocoons. So I had been eating all of those the entire winter. But like I didn't know about it until then, so it was fine. So fast forward to this past year, just a few weeks ago. I just finished graduate school up in Maine, and the end of the year always brings about like holiday parties, and people are having food. And in the graduate office, people always leave like their extra food from these little holiday gatherings. So I worked, my office was on the 3rd floor in the entomology building. So you can say, right? So I would come in every day, and there'd be like donuts that someone had from their presentation, and I would just grab one, like snag it, munch, go to my desk, type away. So one morning I go in, and it's really dark in there because there are like no lights, and their windows aren't very many, and so I walk in, and I can't really see anything, and I just snag, I'm like, oh, cookies, and I snag a cookie, and I'm like, ah, and sit at my desk to type. 2 hours later, my office mate comes in, and he's like, oh, cool, someone's been eating the cricket cookies. So I hadn't noticed, I had noticed like they tasted a little bit salty, but other than that, they tasted fine. And like I could have chosen between a cricket cookie and like this Rice Krispie treat. And later, when we turned the lights on, I noticed that so this was like the entomology class's last like holiday festival day. And it was like their celebration to make food with insects in it and eat the food on purpose. Anyway, so the past yesterday, actually, I think it was 2 days ago, I found myself eating a bowl of my stepdad's soup. And just as I worked up the courage, I've been eating insects for so long now, I might as well. I worked up the courage, and as I was finishing the last little spoonful, I walked over to the stove to pour myself a cup of tea. And as I looked, a tiny holiday spirit of a centipede walked across, and when I turned away and looked back, it was gone.